What if I shared with you that Edgar Cayce, the most extensively documented psychic in America, disclosed that your soul doesn't diminish with age, but instead gains strength after reaching 60? According to the spiritual perspective, everything our society imparts about aging is fundamentally incorrect. In more than 14,000 documented readings conducted from his headquarters in Virginia Beach, Cayce repeatedly illustrated that the later years of life offer a golden opportunity for accelerated spiritual development and enhanced psychic abilities. If you've ever pondered why your spiritual awareness seems to increase as you advance in age, or if you're entering your 60s with curiosity about the future of your consciousness, be sure to subscribe and tap that notification bell. Today, we're going to explore Cayce's most significant teachings regarding the soul's path through maturity. Please share your thoughts in the comments below if you've noticed a rise in intuition or spiritual clarity as you've aged. I'm going to reveal 3 groundbreaking insights from Cayce's readings that will transform your perception of aging entirely. First, let's explore how your soul gathers spiritual strength as you gain decades of experience. Next, we'll examine the particular psychic gifts that often develop after the age of 60, based on research from the Edgar Cayce Foundation archives. Finally, we'll look at the remarkable healing stories of individuals who achieved their most significant spiritual advancements later in life. However, what even surprised Cayce's stenographer during session 1968-3 was a 72-year-old woman who sought a life reading, anticipating information about diminishing health and limited time left. Instead, Cayce informed her that she was entering a deeply spiritually fruitful period in her soul's journey across various lifetimes. He explained that her extensive life experiences had enhanced her spiritual sensitivity to such an extent that she was now able to access higher states of consciousness more effortlessly than ever. This reading sharply contrasted with traditional views on aging, yet it resonated with a pattern Cayce had noticed over thousands of sessions. The accumulation of wisdom, emotional growth, and diminished ego-related desires that typically accompany aging actually fosters ideal conditions for spiritual growth rather than deterioration. Consider it this way: your soul resembles a fine vintage wine that gets better over time. Every year of experience enriches your understanding, empathy, and spiritual insight in ways that cannot be hurried or manufactured. The adversities you encounter, the connections you've managed, the grief you've endured, and the happiness you've embraced all enhance a spiritual richness that those who are younger are still in the process of cultivating. However, there's an even more astonishing insight revealed by Cayce regarding the aging journey. In his reading 2671, he noted that after the age of 60, the body's natural deceleration serves a distinct spiritual function. As the body demands less energy for reproduction and assertive pursuits, that vital life force is redirected towards spiritual growth and heightened psychic perception. This explains why a great number of individuals notice heightened intuition, more vivid dreams, and deeper spiritual experiences as they grow older. This isn't merely a product of imagination or hopeful thinking. It arises naturally from life energy being directed toward the expansion of consciousness instead of focusing on physical survival and the accumulation of material goods. What's truly intriguing is that Cayce recorded numerous instances of people who encountered their first authentic psychic phenomena after reaching the age of 60. In 1932, at the age of 68, Sarah Mitchell, a retired educator from Richmond, Virginia, traveled to Cayce, sharing that she had recently begun experiencing prophetic dreams concerning her grandchildren. During her session, Cayce conveyed that her soul had attained a level of maturity enabling her to receive psychic insights without being overly influenced by ego or fear. The session indicated that Sarah had been cultivating this talent over several lifetimes, but only now had gained the emotional resilience and spiritual insight required to harness these abilities in a positive manner. Cayce noted that many souls opt to incarnate with their most potent psychic skills reserved for their later years, allowing wisdom to inform their application. This perspective transforms our understanding of retirement and the later stages of life. Rather than perceiving this phase as a time of deterioration and retreat, Cayce's readings present it as a graduate school for the soul, providing access to advanced spiritual teachings for the first time. Researchers at the Edgar Cayce Foundation were particularly struck by their findings. Upon examining the readings conducted for individuals aged 60 and above, they identified recurring themes related to expedited karma resolution and swift spiritual growth. Reading 3.4.42 indicates that more experienced souls frequently achieve in their 60s and 70s what could have required several lifetimes to attain in past lives. The underlying reason for this is significant. By the time individuals reach 60, they have typically encountered a significant amount of life's essential lessons, formed important relationships, faced various career obstacles, and embraced personal growth, allowing them to grasp a broader spiritual perspective. The illusions that often captivate younger minds start to fade away, paving the way for authentic spiritual insight to surface. Cayce articulated this transformation in reading 1158-12, referring to it as the soul beginning to realize its true essence. He noted that the initial 60 years are mainly focused on mastering the challenges of physical life, shaping one's personality, and addressing fundamental karmic patterns. However, the subsequent decades provide the soul with a chance to rise above these basic lessons and engage with a more profound spiritual curriculum. You may be curious about the real-world effects of this spiritual acceleration. How does it truly present itself in everyday experiences? I'd like to present 3 documented examples from the RI archives that highlight the significant changes Cayce noted in his older clients. One such case is that of Margaret Thompson, who was 71 years old when she received reading 4211 in 1944. She approached Cayce feeling a profound spiritual void following the death of her husband, with whom she had shared 47 years. Instead of simply expressing sympathy, Cayce disclosed that her sorrow had unlocked spiritual pathways that had remained shut during her marriage. He described how her soul had been yearning for this period of solitude to engage in advanced meditation and healing practices that necessitated complete focus. Within a span of 2 years, Margaret acquired extraordinary healing talents, assisting numerous individuals in her Virginia Beach community through prayer and energy healing. Her case records include letters from appreciative individuals whose long-standing ailments were alleviated following her spiritual interventions. It was not a mere coincidence or a placebo effect. Cayce's reading had precisely forecasted that her grief would awaken latent spiritual abilities. However, there's an additional element to Margaret's narrative that uncovers an essential aspect of the aging soul. In a subsequent reading, Cayce clarified that her many years of marriage had been vital training for her healing vocation. Each obstacle she faced alongside her husband, every act of selfless care, and every moment of forgiveness and patience contributed to enhancing her spiritual ability for this future purpose. This highlights a key tenet in Cayce's teachings regarding mature souls. No part of your life experience is without value. Each relationship, every challenge, and every instance of personal growth has been equipping your soul for the deeper spiritual tasks that can be embraced in the later years of life. The second example involves Robert Harrison, who is 65 years old and received reading 516 and 71 in 1943. Once a prosperous businessman in Norfolk, Virginia, Robert began to feel an increasing sense of discontent with his material pursuits as he grew older. During his reading, Cayce disclosed that Robert's soul had fulfilled its lessons regarding material success and was now positioned to concentrate on spiritual service. Cayce notably mentioned to Robert that his business skills were, in fact, a spiritual asset that could be redirected toward charitable endeavors. The organizational skills and strategic mindset that had contributed to his financial achievements could now be channeled into creating healing centers and spiritual education programs. Robert embraced this insight wholeheartedly, dedicating the last 23 years of his life to establishing 3 meditation centers and a healing clinic that benefited thousands. His journey from a profit-driven businessman to a spiritual guide illustrates the natural evolution of the soul that Cayce noted in fully developed individuals. What stands out in Robert's story is that Cayce indicated in his readings that his soul deliberately opted to pursue material success initially, as this would provide him with the resources and credibility needed for his subsequent spiritual endeavors. This illustrates the complex, long-term strategies of the soul over many lifetimes. The third example highlights what may be the most intriguing facet of spiritual maturity, as indicated by Cayce's insights. Eleanor Davis, aged 68, received reading 31421 in 1941. At that time, she was struggling with significant arthritis and feelings of depression, believing that her productive life had concluded. However, Cayce unveiled something remarkable regarding her state. He clarified that her physical difficulties were compelling her awareness to cultivate a sense of independence from identification with the body. The arthritis was guiding her spirit to operate through spiritual energy instead of physical, thus readying her for profound out-of-body experiences and connections with higher realms. Cayce provided Eleanor with particular meditation methods intended to harmonize with her physical constraints, rather than oppose them. After 6 months, she began to share accounts of frequent visits to what she termed teaching temples during deep meditative and sleep states. Her depression vanished entirely as she understood that she was gaining advanced spiritual insights, which were only attainable due to her physical challenges. This example highlights one of Cayce's most significant revelations regarding the process of aging. What may seem like a decline in physical health often signifies the soul's readiness for an elevated consciousness that goes beyond the constraints of the body. As individuals gradually release their ties to physical strengths, they open the door to spiritual gifts that were not available before. This is where Cayce's teachings resonate particularly well for contemporary Americans who are nearing or experiencing their later years. In numerous accounts, he stressed that the soul's advancement after the age of 60 does not happen by default. It necessitates deliberate collaboration and purposeful spiritual exercise. The same life experiences that can trigger spiritual advancement may also result in cynicism, bitterness, or resignation if not met with the right perspective. Cayce emphasized that those with mature souls must proactively opt for spiritual growth instead of material interests, prioritize service over self-centeredness, and choose progress over stagnation. This decision becomes increasingly vital and influential as decades go by. According to reading 28.3.1, souls in their 60s and older have gathered enough life experience to make genuinely informed spiritual choices. In contrast to the younger mindset, which frequently lacks the context needed for spiritual truths, more developed souls are capable of identifying genuine wisdom and wholeheartedly embracing it. Reflect on your own spiritual path. Have you observed that ideas about spirituality, which once felt abstract or theoretical during your youth, now resonate more deeply and hold personal significance. This shift goes beyond mere intellectual growth. As Cayce suggests, it reflects your soul's ability to recognize fundamental truths. It has been slowly shaped over many years of experience. The consequences are astonishing when you take a moment to truly reflect on them. If Cayce's views hold true, then turning 60 should be seen as the start of your soul's most fruitful phase, not as the beginning of a downturn. The insights you've gained, the ego ties you've let go of, and the heightened spiritual awareness you've fostered prepare you for a level of consciousness growth that wasn't achievable in your earlier years. However, there is a particular practice that Cayce suggested for enhancing this spiritual advancement, which may come as a surprise. In reading 28:113, he highlighted the significance of consistent meditation, specifically tailored for those with mature consciousness. This differs from the type of meditation suited for younger seekers, who concentrate on manifestation and achieving goals. According to Cayce, meditation for mature individuals should prioritize service, the sharing of wisdom, and preparation for the ultimate transition between the physical and spiritual worlds. He recommended that those aged 60 and above engage in at least 30 minutes of meditation each day, focusing on comprehending their soul's purpose for continuing in physical form, as well as how they can aid the spiritual growth of others. This routine frequently results in notable clarity regarding one's life purpose, which many individuals report discovering as they age. The uncertainty and exploration that often define young adulthood eventually give way to a distinct spiritual purpose, which can only arise after a considerable amount of life experiences has offered context and insight. Cayce also highlighted the significance of imparting gained wisdom to younger generations, viewing it as a unique form of spiritual service associated with more seasoned souls. Reading 1947-3 indicates that those who have traversed many years of earthly existence bear the responsibility of guiding less experienced individuals. This guidance doesn't necessarily equate to formal education or counseling. It may present itself in the form of grandparenting with deliberate spiritual awareness, engaging in community service, or simply demonstrating mindful aging for others to witness. The essential point is to acknowledge that your life experiences hold spiritual significance that extends beyond personal gain. Cayce uncovered something extraordinary regarding the preparation for the afterlife that occurs organically as we age consciously. In reading 9:10, he described how souls that engage in spiritual growth during their later years make transitions at death that are far smoother and find themselves in higher spiritual realms beyond the physical world. This process isn't about accumulating spiritual credits or fulfilling religious duties. Rather, it reflects the natural evolution of consciousness that has gained the ability to operate independently of physical constraints while still residing in a bodily form. The practices of meditation, service, and the cultivation of wisdom throughout conscious aging serve as training for functioning within purely spiritual dimensions. Now, allow me to discuss a concern you may have. What should you do if you believe you've squandered time or committed errors that hinder your spiritual progress? Cayce's insights provide deep comfort regarding this matter. In numerous instances, he highlighted that the path of the soul's development is incredibly robust, and that a genuine spiritual intention, regardless of one's age, can spark swift progress. In reading 1567-2, he discusses a 78-year-old individual who felt he had missed out on spiritual chances due to his alcoholism and self-centered actions. Cayce indicated that just his acknowledgement of lost time indicated a spiritual awakening, setting him up for expedited growth in the years he had left. The text elaborated on how true regret and dedication to service can lead to significant spiritual growth, even within a short period. This highlights another essential element of Cayce's insights regarding the essence of mature spirituality. Life experiences, which often encompass errors, setbacks, and wrong decisions, can offer more valuable opportunities for spiritual change than a life filled with straightforward achievements. The profound comprehension gained from grappling with human vulnerabilities fosters compassion and wisdom that theoretical spiritual knowledge alone cannot provide. Reflect on how this relates to your own spiritual path. Every obstacle you have encountered, every connection that enlightened you about love or forgiveness, and every instance where you opted for growth instead of comfort has played a role in your spiritual development, equipping you for enhanced progress in the years ahead. However, what excited Cayce the most about spiritual aging is a truth that should motivate those nearing or experiencing their later years. In readings 37-44-5, he expressed that many souls intentionally choose to incarnate during specific historical moments to ensure their mature years align with phases of collective spiritual awakening. This reading suggests that souls maturing in the early 21st century have chosen to be here as spiritual anchors and guardians of wisdom amid humanity's shift to a higher consciousness. The life experiences you have gathered are not merely about individual growth. They are a preparation for serving the collective during a pivotal period in the evolution of human spirituality. This indicates that your process of aging involves more than merely personal spiritual development. It is also about positioning yourself to meet the spiritual needs of a world in the midst of a significant transformation of consciousness. The knowledge you have acquired over decades of life experience offers a source of stability and direction that can assist others in navigating the swift spiritual shifts occurring around them. When viewed through this lens, the meditation practices, opportunities for service, and wisdom sharing suggested by Cayce for those with mature souls become even more meaningful. You are not solely focused on your own spiritual evolution. You are preparing to actively participate in the collective spiritual awakening of humanity. As we wrap up this discussion of Edgar Cayce's remarkable insights on spiritual aging, keep in mind that your later years symbolize your soul's advanced course in consciousness. Each year of your life has been preparing you for this stage of accelerated spiritual growth and service. Whether you are nearing 60 and experiencing your golden years, or you're aiding someone who is, view this period as the climax of your soul's extensive preparation for profound spiritual endeavors. The knowledge you've gained, the obstacles you've overcome, and the love you've learned to convey set the stage for a consciousness expansion that wasn't achievable in your earlier years. If this viewpoint on spiritual aging resonates with you, I'd be eager to hear your stories regarding heightened intuition, spiritual revelations, or a renewed sense of purpose as you've grown older. Please share your reflections in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if it provided meaningful insights. And don't forget to subscribe for more content that delves into Edgar Cayce's enduring wisdom on consciousness, healing, and spiritual evolution. Your golden years are not about decline. They signify your soul finally embracing its true strength.